Moody heard a preacher say, "The world has never seen what God can do through one man who is totally yielded to him." He said, "By the grace of God, I'll be that man. And by the grace of God, we too can be fully yielded to him, but we must trust beyond limits." It's easy to trust in God when everything is going well, but in order to be totally yielded to him, we must trust him at all times, in every circumstance, and beyond limits. And we see this in Hosea's life. He had some devastating circumstances that would have tested anyone's faith, and yet he remained strong as he trusted in the Lord. It begins when Hosea is asked by God to marry a prostitute named Gomer, and together they had 3 children. But later Gomer became dissatisfied with him and went after other men. But with God's will still weighing heavy on Hosea's heart, he left his hurt behind and bought Gomer back. Now he didn't condone her past, but he embraced their future. And by keeping with God's plan, redemption was brought to her life, their marriage, and ultimately God's people. In this story we see 3 things: the test, the trust, and the triumph. So first we have the test. Hosea's test came when he was told to marry a prostitute that he could only love through God's love in him. And we too need this love throughout the test of our faith when Satan tries to tempt us towards spiritual prostitution. Prostitution is described as offering oneself toward unworthy purposes. And we're bombarded every day to co-offer ourselves to feel-good situations that cause us to lose sight of God's plan. God allows certain things to come our way, not so that we get caught up in them, but that we catch his greater purpose through them. And 1 Peter 1:7 says that these trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. You see, when gold is being purified, all other metals are taken out by fire in order for it to be genuine. And although none of us like testing by fire, it's only through this process that we're made pure. Through our tests and trials, we must then secondly trust in his refining purpose. The trust is where we allow God to give us the perseverance we need to get through our trial. And 2 Corinthians 4:16 says that therefore we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. And when we stay the course, our bodies may grow weary, but our spirits gain momentum. And as the old song says, though none go with me, still I will follow. Like Hosea, we can be judged by others, even our closest friends, when we follow God. Hosea's friends were probably thinking, how could a man of God stoop so low to give a prostitute a heart full of love when she had no capacity to even love him back? But the Bible says in Proverbs 3:5 to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understandings. We must remember that God's design is always bigger than the confined picture we see in our heads. He is faithful and will never lead us to fail. And that's why finally we have the triumph. I remember when I anticipated a triumph at a track meet. It was in the 400-meter relay. There was a solid pass-off, and I shot out like a speeding bullet. I felt good, I felt strong, and I felt I had this. When all of a sudden, Speedy Gonzalez raced past me at the speed of light. I didn't have this. But it's okay. I pulled it together, and I finished the race. And good news, I placed last place. So where's the triumph, you ask? It was when I did long jump. It's important to realize that the triumph is not about the eyes of man, but about the eyes of God. It may not have seemed like Hosea had the triumph to those around him, but as always, God had a greater plan. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who have been called according to his purpose, Romans 8:28. Even in God's plan through Christ, it seemed like Jesus was defeated on the cross. But we know that the triumph came through his resurrection. So remember, the test, the trust, and the triumph. Like Hosea, maybe you feel that God is asking you to do something that is testing you beyond your own limits. We will never have all the answers, but we need to trust that he is the answer. And when we yield to God, there's no limit to what he can do through us. So today, I challenge you to trust in the Lord in everything you do, in your relationships, in your future, and in your finances. And as we trust in the Lord, he will bring us the triumph.